All right, everyone, I managed to force myself to watch most of the Democratic debate last night, and I say most of it because, like, towards the last half hour, I think, or so, I tuned out because I'm like, it's going nowhere, and it was actually getting even more boring. So I'm going to go through, like, winners, losers, my general thoughts about some of the candidates. First and foremost to Biden. One of the winners of the night, without actually doing anything meaningful, he was incoherent the entire time. Sometimes he meandered around so much in his explanations and responses that it wasn't even clear what he was saying. And yet, despite this fact, he managed to look, again, he looked halfway decent compared to most of the field. I'd say the big takeaway winner from the top, as far as viability, should be Buttigieg, but it will be Elizabeth Warren. Here's the problem. Elizabeth Warren used her fake, authentic sounding sort of jive, promised the same bullshit she's been promising, and you could tell. I mean, if you have studied linguistics, you can tell she's full of shit. Unfortunately, having that very elementary, full of shit style, like college junior talking to a group of freshmen at a pep rally sort of thing, appeal, that works with voters more. Whereas Buttigieg actually got substantive, and what happened is he was the only one there that jabbed Trump successfully. Most of it's like orange man bad shit. He actually managed to make it into a memorable quip. The problem is almost immediately afterwards, Beto got in a better shot, not about Trump, but in general, and had the quip of the night. Oh, hell yeah, we're going to take your assault rifles. If your weapon was designed for the battlefield, we're going to take it away. Now, of course, then he launches off into talking about the AR-15. It's like, it's not a weapon of war. It wasn't designed for a battlefield. Not sure what you're talking about, dude. But I guess he's gonna. A lot of revolvers will get banned, though. You know, a lot of them saw action back in the 19th century. They were weapons of war. They were explicitly made for troops, first and foremost. It's just the rest of the population happened to think they were better than a pepper box if they could afford it. A lot of the early rifles there, and not semi-automatic in any way, shape, or form. Early Winchester models and some of those are weapons of war. There are plenty of weapons that would never be used by any reasonable person today for even home defense that were used as weapons of war. The AR-15, which is great for home defense, notably not among them. Beto clearly doesn't know anything about guns. The idea that he's going to come and take anyone's guns is laughable. Like, he couldn't physically do that to anyone because he's a shrimpy little dude. He reminds me of those little dudes who beat their wives. And so in public, like, sometimes they say things that sound like hyper-aggressive, like this, hell yeah, we're going to take your guns. And of course, his campaign staff immediately pile out on Twitter because their focus group thought it was great, probably started applauding. It was a memorable quip. But here's the problem. Here's a big problem for Beto in this debate. He has the memorable quip of the night. This will probably give him a couple extra points within the field, by the way. In fact, he might spike after this, but it'll be a Kamala moment, and I'll tell you why. The problem is that giving red meat to the far left by saying, oh, I'm going to be really tough on these fucking gun owners because you shouldn't have weapons of war, will get swept up by two things. Firstly, Beto is a far leftist in a primary field that is veered further and further left. He's competing to become the Dem nominee. It's not in the general election right now, where you have to wine and dine people who, by and large, reject the sort of arguments that the Democrats have been making on guns and taxes and immigration and a million other things. That's number one. Trump's already there. He's already obviously got some centristic support, so the Democrats are fighting an uphill battle, and they're already losing because they're veering so far left. It's going to be really, really difficult for them to claw their way back. Unless you're Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's looking more and more demented by the fucking day. The last round of polls not as kind to him. He is arguably now slumping. I'm not sure that that's a long-term thing, but arguably in the wake of Bloody Eye-gate, yeah, he's lost some support, maybe because people are realizing he's fucked up. And Elizabeth Warren, predictably the one gobbling up that support, she hit 26 to his 26, actually, and tied him in another poll. And it was a YouGov poll. Should have him worried. With Beto O'Rourke, though, the problem with his memorable quip is it's just fodder for the far left. So it gives him support, makes him more viable during the primaries, but does it help him in a general? And do you really think that it's going to give him the 20 points of support he'd need to be a front runner? No, of course, not even close. Most people, there aren't enough people left undecided really in the field. Most people at this point are at least soft supporters of one candidate or another. Most of them not Beto O'Rourke. It's going to be a problem for him. The big story of the night as far as losers go, Beto technically a winner because of that quip, Kamala Harris. Kamala, I don't know what the fuck her problem was. She looked she looked like she hadn't prepped at all. Like she just stumbled up onto the stage not knowing quite where she was and just started getting asked questions. One problem is she got Tulsi Gabbarded, even though Tulsi Gabbard wasn't there, specifically on her prosecutorial record, and she totally fucking blundered her way through that. She totally deflected. Everyone knew she deflected. She didn't really get any applause. She defaulted to Orange Man bad. And the problem is this is where Beto's quip stands out, or Buttigieg's attack on Trump, which got swept up by the Beto attack. This is where they differ from the whole rest of the pack last night. Everyone attacked Trump. Oh, we all know that he's bad. We all know that he's evil. He's horrible for the economy. He'll start World War III. He's an evil bigot and a despicable sexist. Okay, we all know that he's Satan incarnate. They all agree with that. The problem is the generic Orange Man bad thing doesn't generate any applause anymore. Oh yeah, I hate Trump so much. He's a virulent racist. Well, if he said that 6 months ago, it would have been said, oh, he called him a racist. Wow. Really calling it what it is, and it's very forthright and honest. Say what you really feel. How brave of this politician to step up to the fore and say it. But now they're all saying it. Every single Democrat has labeled him the same thing. So now you need either a memorable attack or something further to the left in order to actually get that applause. Beto got it on something that he can't constitutionally even do, which is, I guess, disarm half the population. Good fucking luck, by the way. He's doubled down on his Swalwell-esque approach. We're going to force you to sell your guns to the government. No, you're not. Because the military would never try to do that. The military would probably end up defecting by and large once the fighting begins. Oh, but by the way, everyone's guns would accidentally get lost in boating accidents. I guarantee boating accidents are going to become real goddamn prevalent in the lead up to anything like that. No, you'll just end up causing more AR-15s to be sold, more high-capacity magazines, and enough bullets to basically destroy the world 5 times over. Yeah, that's what'll end up happening. So the gun shops will really love it. Yeah, Cragen's down here. He'll be very happy. He'll be able to retire. He won't have to sell guns anymore. He won't have to. He'll make money hand over fist. Everybody, they don't care if they have to pay 2-3 times as much. They'll get those AR lower receivers in, that's for sure. Here's the thing. He gets that victory. Kamala gets the big loss of the night. Warren did what she needed to do, which was, she's the stand-in for Biden. Biden's the one that the DNC wants. He's the name recognition front runner. That's what he's been. Warren is the waiting in the wings backup in case Biden totally gets toasted. The problem is that if this is any indicator of how Biden is going to persist in campaigning, he will not make it to the general election. He'll drop out, or he'll drop out of favor enough so that someone else has to replace him. That person will probably be Elizabeth Warren. So it looks, after this debate, while Biden technically is in the third place winner's circle there, I would say Elizabeth Warren is now the number one likelihood to be the Democratic nominee. Based on his performance, even though he did what he needed to do, the problem is he can't even formulate a response to basic questions. By the way, it was funny seeing Jorge Ramos pepper people up on stage and ramble and rave, and it was funny to see Julian Castro, this has become passé at this point, ramble on in Spanish for his bilingual supporters, as he's really, really hyping up that fucking pandering. Then Klobuchar is up on stage saying the most generic things ever. She shouldn't have even been on stage. It should have been Tulsi Gabbard. I will say one thing for ABC Univision. They did manage to allocate time more evenly between the candidates. That's something CNN hasn't done. The debate overall was more fair, although I think the Kamala fans felt like she had been sideswiped by the Gabbarding sort of question on her prosecutorial record, but keep this in mind, she never fully answered the question in the first debate, so she's going to get asked it till she does. Apparently she's never going to answer it. Well, fuck Kamala Harris. She's toast. She screwed up at the third debate royally. This is a second major debate loss in a row. She's not going to be in the top 5 after this. She's going to lose more support. Buttigieg will probably rise a point or two and supplant her. She's done. She should drop out. Fucking bye-bye to good garbage. Good riddance to her. She should never be in politics again. She sucks. She's arguably the worst person up on that stage. Oh, I smoked weed listening to Tupac before Tupac actually released an album while putting black people in prison for extended sentences. Fuck Kamala Harris. Worst candidate up there. Buttigieg, arguably the best. I would say, again, the only person there that got a hit in that was legitimate, that would look good on a main debate stage in the general is Buttigieg. He's the only one who got any hit in against Trump of that kind. He's the only one there who was truly well-spoken, other than arguably, and this is going to come as a shock to some of you, Julian Castro, which is what I said a long time ago. Castro was a big possible threat to Trump, but he's never gained traction. He's gone off into Panderingville, and he's gotten to the point where he looks mean when he speaks. This was actually echoed by none other than Rahm Emanuel, heir apparent Obama fan, big-time Biden supporter, last night actually there at the debate weighing in. Now, of course, he's a crooked neoliberal. The crooked neoliberals have all the money. That's why Biden and Elizabeth Warren are the front runners. One of those two is almost certain to be the nominee. They'll probably spring for a Kamala or a Buttigieg for their running mate, depending on which one it is. At this point, it's more likely to be Elizabeth Warren, I suppose. Yeah, Biden's odds of winning now are about even with Elizabeth Warren. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's like a 45-45 for them, and then the other 10 points is everybody else. That's where I would put it. So Biden, in winning, loses. Elizabeth Warren wins without trying, just by being up on stage and rich. Buttigieg, who should have been the inarguable victor tonight, totally ignored. Beto O'Rourke gets in the quip of the night. Klobuchar is toast. Kamala Harris is toast. By the way, good riddance. Julian Castro is pretty much toast. This is just my thoughts. I don't know if they coincide. I haven't looked up anybody else's analysis. I'm doing a dry run on this one. First debate, I only went based on others' analysis. Second debate is sort of a fusion. This one, I'm only going on my gut instinct. I live tweeted most of the debate. By the way, that was quite a bit of fun. Oh, and as for Bernie Sanders, he looked hoarse, generic. Instead of looking far left, he just looked like another candidate up on stage. I can't imagine it's going to do good things for him. Sanders is fundamentally done now, too. He's going to be an also-ran. He's not going to be the nominee. Again, good riddance. Yeah, come back to Vermont and do your job, which is to make Vermonters look atrocious, Bernie. That's about all. Peace out.